I have 6 on mine, so. Would everyone please rise for a moment of silence? Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's call the special meeting to order to appoint a new water commissioner to the South Sangamon Water Commission. First item on the agenda would be public comments, but they are limited to Mrs. Buttrell's appointment, and we're going to also do the warrants, so that the commentary would be relative to those subjects. So would anyone care to, Bonnie, would you step forward, please?
I took my front seat back.
Okay.
First of all, condolences to Matt. Okay?
Yes.
We are all behind you, whatever you need, let us know.
Thank you.
Okay? As far as the agenda, as far as getting Ruth in and you voting on her, I believe her qualifications are there. You know, you have her stand up, introduce herself, give her qualifications. What I disagree with, Mayor, is the fact that apparently she's been involved with this water commission for probably at least 6 months. So her going out to the water commission, was that a request of maybe Joe Shatterman or yourself, for her to go out and see if she was interested in the position or to see what she might be able to do in that position? We were all kept in the dark as far as her, you know, checking it out, looking to see what she needs to do. So with that, I have to say that at this time, I would wish that you would open it up to questions from the citizens to Ruth before you nominate her this evening. I realize Terry Burke is looking, I realize that, but with Ruth's qualifications, if you honestly believe that she's the person that you will put in that seat, whether everybody agrees or not, I think she ought to be up here and answering questions from us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
I do want to say something really quick in regards to that. And last week, I know I didn't speak. I was planning on speaking regarding the appointment of Ruth. If you were here last week, I think if anybody knows on the water situation, Jewel Brandt's been a key role in this position, and she spoke after Ruth had asked for her okay, and out of respect for Jewel, I felt like she was the one who had to have the last words last week, and I didn't want to say anything at that point. I will say that I 100% believe in Ruth and support her. I've talked with her at length, and I think every trustee here has talked with her at length, which for all of us to agree on a water situation is a first step that we are all very excited about. I know I am. But she's very passionate. She's an expert. And yes, we have to, I was looking for another water commissioner. And thankful to everybody up here, we've all done our due diligence to try to address these problems. And I thank Mayor Gray for allowing this appointment and making this appointment. You know, and I also thank Terry for it as well. He served to the best of his ability, but he also is assisting her if she needs anything in this transition. You know, he's done some great things for our community, so I thank him for stepping down and letting an expert truly take this position and hopefully help us address some of the concerns that our citizens have. And I understand, you know, we still have some trust to build in our community. But in the last 6 months, we have done some really good steps, and that's from hiring new attorneys to hiring now new engineers, and then now we've taken the step of a new water commissioner. And all of these people are new professionals that are highly in this area as experts in their fields. And that's truly where we want to go in the future. So, again, like I said, I understand there's lots of steps that we have to take to meet the demands, but we are getting there. And I know patience is something that I have learned, and I think you guys are learning as well, but we've really been able to make some steps in the last 6 months. Yes, I wish they could move faster, but we hope they will continue to. We've got some more appointments that'll happen, and hopefully we pick some professional people in those, and that's in our next step to continue addressing the concerns of our water quality. And hopefully we'll see that from our board continuing on from here on our next appointments as well, and consultants that we hire.
And if I can just make a couple comments, I want to echo what Nino's is saying regarding, and I think this is a good step where we have unanimous support on the board for this. I've known Ruth for a long time. She is a friend, I will say that. I did take her out to the plant a few months ago because I wanted her to see it. She's an expert. She's the one that came to me and said, this is my background. I can help you guys. And I said, great. I said, and she also said to me one other thing that I think is really important for everyone to know. She said, Joe, she said, some of the things I find out there, you may not like. You may not want to hear what I have to say. And I said, I'm because I want an unbiased opinion. So that's why I think that's something that we all want means to us. So for that reason, I'm wholeheartedly will be supporting Ruth.
Can you make the motion, Joe?
And I'll make that motion.
No.
Comment?
Wait. Comment? Yes?
I don't know Ruth. I'm sure she's highly qualified for this job. But I am so tired of things happening here in secret, behind closed doors, friends of friends being hired. That's not right. You should have a wealth of people to pick from in this town with qualifications for all jobs. They don't have to be always somebody you know. And if you have been looking at somebody and talking to somebody, tell them they have something they need to tell you or something good to tell you. But it's all hush-hush, under the carpet, secret. And people are tired of it.
You could have rested a lot of people's worries if you had told us 6 months ago you were looking at somebody that just this one
Right.
time.
Exactly. And people wouldn't be so upset.
We weren't looking
We
6
weren't.
months ago.
We weren't looking 6 months ago.
She was in it 6 months ago,
No,
okay?
no.
Okay. Any further comments? Okay. Joe's made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Would you take the vote, please?
Sure. Mark Pla-
Yes.
Nina Lindhorst,
Yes.
Matt Mao.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the special meeting agenda is the warrants.
And I'll make the motion for that.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions about the warrants? Changes to the minutes? Hearing none. Would you take the vote, please?
Sure. Mark Clayton,
Yes.
Nina Lindhorst,
Yes.
Matt Mao,
Yes.
Joe Showerman.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, special meeting stands adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the committee of the whole. If you could all join me for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do you have the roll taken?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to open it up committee of the whole for public comment. Anyone like to speak? Sure. If they can come on, stand with the speaker.
All right, no, I'm new to this form, go
You
ahead.
go ahead. If you're new, you get first. They don't know your first name yet, so.
Okay. Hi, I'm Debbie Robb. I've lived in Chatham for about 22 years with my husband. I wanted to speak to the board. I know I'm limited on what I can talk about, but I wanted to share with you some, basically some physical ailments that I've experienced while I've lived in Chatham, and more recently in the last 3 years. And March of 2014, I was diagnosed with a very bad intestinal infection. It became so bad that there was no medicine to cure it. I ended up being part of a clinical study at that time, which was conducted with my infectious disease doctor at Springfield Clinic. Did a bacterial transplant, which worked, and I was once again restored. But again, it was short-lived. It occurred again this year in February 2016, and actually I became ill at the Chatham Mardi Gras event. I became so ill so quickly that within 12 hours I became septic. When I arrived at the hospital, I had no idea how bad I really was. This time there was no clinical study. There was no trial. There was nothing left for them to use. They threw the same battery of medicine that they had given me before. What I had found out is the clinical trial was just a trial, and the FDA had not approved that for ongoing. So the doctor in Peoria had to once again plead for me to be part of a very small trial to be treated once more with a bacterial transplant. Unfortunately, I had to wait 2 weeks for that. And so in that time, again, I was teetering in my health situation. Fortunately, I have a great doctor, and on March 17th, I did receive the bacterial transplant. But weeks have gone by, and I've been very ill. Since then, my question back to the doctors is, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I don't smoke, I don't drink to excess, I'm very conscientious about my habits. They even checked my diet, everything that goes in me and out of me, I hate to say, but that's what they've checked. And what they've said is my bacteria in my intestinal tract is so wrong that it doesn't take anything, any kind of infection can flare this intestinal infection. What I found out is I had my water tested, as you were just, actually hiring a new water commissioner. I'm having my water tested to find out what's wrong. My chlorine levels are 4 times the levels that they are in Springfield, in my tap water in my home. But worse is I'm bathing in that and showering that every day, and the exposures that you get to the toxins in the water, whether you're bathing or showering, are worse than if you're drinking. That's a fact. My doctor confirmed this. This could be the cause of my continuous infection. I'm not saying for certain that it is, but it has caused me and my family a great deal of grief, a lot of expense. I'm putting in a filtration system I pray helps. Otherwise, I have no other options. I implore you to reconsider what you have decided on in the past that can make people sick. And I'm living proof of that, and I'm lucky to be able to be standing here and telling you about it today. So I plead with you, for our children's sake and our family's sake, to reconsider what you're doing. And look at how are those levels that we're putting in to treat the bacteria in the water. If I'm bathing in it, what's happening to me? What's happening to my children? Those levels are toxic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Additional public comment?
My questions or comments are basically somewhat the same. I was going to ask Kimsey and Chatham. Matt, unfortunately, you're the only one left. Have you read and looked at Jules' report that she did and the specifications that she's put in it? And the ladies saying the bacteria and the chlorine and all the chemicals that they're putting in the water, and it's maybe just not doing quite what it should do?
I have looked at what Jewel put together. I read all of Jewel's emails, everything she does say, and all the emails I do get on the subject, because, this is a very important subject to me. But I also look at everything, and I don't discredit anything. I look at the tests we do, I look at what she says, and, you know, I have to look at everything that I'm presented and create a idea and goal to move forward.
Well, I'm just grateful that we didn't shut our mouths and walk away, and especially for this lady and her problems that she's had. Because I feel that us, even though we have repeatedly basically said the same things every evening when we've come and said our pieces, but without the repetitiveness, I don't think we would be anywhere near where we are. The only problem is we don't have another 4 years to try to figure this out. And unfortunately, the burdens may be put on Ruth now. I don't know Ruth's last name. I'm sorry, Miss Ruth, I don't know your last name. But I'm just, like she says, praying and hoping that she is going to be able to shed some light on this. And you know, I'm just glad we didn't walk away, that's all I can say. And then another question I had, and I don't know if we've addressed this, I know we've sort of hinted on it. Where have they started with the flushing, and how far have we gotten with that?
We have not started yet.
Oh, you've not
No.
stared yet?
Our engineers are putting together a model to turn around and set up on where we start, the steps that we go through from one area to the next, to the next, to the next.
And there's no time frame on when that is to be finished and started and any of that?
They pretty much got the task about a week and a half ago. I gave them all of my maps of our GIS and water system. They're putting that into the model. I'm hoping to get something back within the next week because we're going through the budget process and I need to be able to add that cost into the budget.
And then I had another question with Mr. Boyle resigning. Is there a process that the trustees and the mayor goes through?
I would accept a letter of interest and a resume from anybody that would like to be on the, like to be considered.
That's very good to know.
So just send them to the attention of Mr. McCarthy.
Oh,
I'll put them all together for the mayor to look at.
okay. And if we would we be able to have an answer or a question and answer session with Miss Ruth at, for instance,
I think she was
our
willing
next
to do that,
committee
yeah.
meeting? So that we could ask her questions, and by then she would have time to have gone to the meeting that the commissioners have, and like we say, we feel she's been in there more than a day or two, but, and I'm
Yeah.
sure she has been looking at different things, so if
Do
that
we have
would
her
be
information
possible,
or
that
what?
would be very nice.
sorry.
Do you have her information to see if she'll come next time to do a question and answer?
She's sitting right
Well, she's right here.
I didn't see her, I was looking. I had a little tell.
She's shaking her head.
Yeah, she would.
If you want, you can either schedule it with a committee meeting, or we could schedule it on an evening of maybe just her, and maybe have CM&T here, and people want to ask questions of them.
That might be a better option.
That way, you
Well,
don't have all
whatever
of
you all
this going on,
decide.
but then,
Yeah.
if for some reason all the I think they can all show up, right? They just can't act or discuss
Right.
items with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably post it somehow.
Post it
Yeah, that
anyway.
sounds like a good idea, and then we can, that's a good
Well,
idea.
I mean,
That way
I
it's
had
made
10
up.
questions written down, but I don't want to ask them because it would be better to be able to ask and her respond than
Yeah.
me just stand and say da-da-da, when,
Why don't you send your questions ahead of time so Ruth can, if she needs to do some research on them,
Yeah.
she would have a more,
And that might be something we can do if we do this meeting, is submit questions ahead of time, so they can both look at them and say, hey, these are our high concerns of our community.
because I would imagine most of the time you can't pull the answer off the top of your head. And if she's just starting to get into this, if she had a list, she could at least look at that and get an idea of what topics and what items you're looking at.
well, I'll be at the next South Sangamon Water Commission
That's what it is.
meeting, and I'm always there.
The next committee of the whole meeting would definitely be May 10th.
Exactly.
So if we could get Bruce's contact information out, then we could have questions submitted by the end of April. I'll put.
I think, why not clear everything through Pat? That way, for sure, Ruth will
Yeah,
get.
we could get your contact information posted so people can submit the questions to you.
I'll put that on our village webpage over in the most up-to-date stuff. So you can quickly look on there and you'll see that Ruth was appointed our water commissioner. She's going to be available whatever day you guys decide. And then if you have any questions, if you'd like, we would like for you to submit those ahead of time. Please submit them to this email address, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, really? If I took my front seat back, you know I got a comment. Can I be next?
Oh, we weren't getting off that easy, I know.
I don't think I do. I'm not gonna complain about the water. What I'm gonna do is explain to you what I have seen and lived in the past couple months. How much this village has been split.
Has been a while.
Split in half.
Okay.
It amazes me. Normally I walk through the village of Chatham and say, hey, how's it going and how are you? Instead now, because I have an issue with my water, and God love y'all if you don't have an issue. I want to shower at your house, okay? But nowadays, you can't do that with your neighbors, because they're seeing me on this, and they're going, oh, there's the lady that always speaks every Tuesday night. There's the lady that the mayor knows her first name is, calls her up first thing out of it. I'm tired of this. I hate the fact that I have people tell me, if you don't like the water, move. I'm not moving. I raised my family here. My grandkids are here. I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to continue to have a comment. I'm going to continue to have 1,001 questions that might or might not get answered. There's a reason for this battle. We've got a newcomer that stood up here, and y'all know she wanted to break down. So there is a problem. But the problem also lies in the fact that this village is being so split. Hateful, nasty emails, threats to kids, to families. And the only thing I can tell you sitting up there, every single one of you, you gotta help stop it. I don't care, and Ruth, it's nothing personal, because I think you're gonna be the bomb out there, okay? You're just not gonna like me sometimes. But what I'm saying is, if Ruth was being involved a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months, talked to about this position, when she approached you guys and said, listen, she doesn't have water issues apparently, but if she's willing to approach and help, you guys should have made it somehow the announcement to where the whole village knew that you cared enough that Terry's gone, we're gonna move somebody in with a lot of experience. You know how much that would help this village? Do you walk out your door and say hi to your neighbors and enjoy living here? With this turmoil, I don't. Again, I want to make it clear, if you don't have a problem with your water, great. But don't call me a crybaby. Do not send me a message telling me to move out of Chatham. I'm not doing it. Count your blessings if you don't have a water issue. But if Ruth can't come in and fix this in a timely manner, which I don't have that timeline, I'm not that brilliant, but something's got to be done. Otherwise, you're going to have more people like this young lady here that's having medical issues. You know, if I wanted to really embarrass myself, I'd lift up my pant leg and show you the sores that are not healing. You know? Do something, but quit hiding from the village citizens. Open your mouth, Mayor, please. When you are going to start changing the table, changing the manpower, share it with your village. You are the mayor of this village. You are partly responsible for this split and the nastiness that has turned this village upside down. And it's time for you to start speaking out. Whether you think I have bad water or not, I don't care. There's no reason for me to lie about it. You know what? If your uncle that lives down the street doesn't have it, says, hey, tell her to move. No. You should stick up for me, whether I have good water, bad water, opinion, or no opinion. And I'm sorry, Mayor Gray, I really am. But in no way do I ever feel like you've got the back of any citizen, whether they've got a problem or a great life here right now. So thank you.
I just want to add just a real short thing to that. Welcome to Ruth, and I think we all look forward to hearing what you have to say. This is not anything about you directly, but I have to...
Can you say your name, please?
Joyce Workman. I have to side with him in the whole thing on when this all started, we were saying transparency, transparency, transparency. That split is caused because there's not transparency.
Yes.
If you had said, hey, we have an excellent, Anita, sounds like she's great, I love what you said, that gives us all confidence because we believe you and trust you. But if you had said all along, hey, we have this.
It only was
excellent-"
2 weeks.
Well, even
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even a meeting.
Whatever the
Yeah, so it
time,
was,
and said-
it was not like, hey, this happened overnight.
But if we think that she is
Yeah,
the
or
best
that-
there is, and it sounds like she is,
Yeah.
what would have been the problem with saying, feel free to submit things?
And we did.
And talking to
At
those
that point, we
people
said, if you have
and
any
letting-
questions, if you have
and
anything,
letting the
open up.
public have some say in that before. It would have come as process much more transparent.
Right.
Instead of finding out, well, we've already picked her. If she's as good as you say she is, she would rose to the top anyway.
Well, and that's what, I'm almost positive the last time when prior to, we said, if anyone else is interested, please submit your resume at that time. And did we get any?
She was
I
at
don't-
the water plant in January with Joe Chatham and another citizen.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll
Yeah,
say
I don't-
this
I mean-
though,
Joe said that.
and, you know, and maybe we could have done a better job at making the vetting process more transparent. But this came at a time when we had someone with expertise here. And we have a sense of urgency up here, obviously, because there is a significant problem. And, you know, when Ruth's name came up and her credentials came up, it was without a doubt us saying, now we have, like we talked about in the previous appointment, we have an opportunity here to put somebody in this situation who has this technical expertise. And of course, we jumped all over that. I will say that there was no intention of ever hiding this or, trying to be in the dark on things or trying to keep citizens in the dark. That was not the intention at all. I think once people saw Ruth's credentials, she had the full support of the board. And I think that's something that we finally all could agree on to say, all right, we're going to do this together. We've all come to a consensus here. And we saw, like I said, we saw the credentials. And certainly this isn't a knock on Terry Burke, but we saw that this is much more experience in the technical side of things that we needed. And again, there was no intention here to do things in the dark. And I get it. A lot of people are frustrated. You know, and we talk about division in the town. Anytime you bring up something that has controversy, that there's negativity around, people are going to jump on one side or the other. I mean, there's so many people, their lives are embedded in this community because the community means so much to them. So people that don't have problems, of course, they see this as their hometown, and just like all of your opinions matter, they think their opinions matter too. And I think anytime you get something controversial like this, it's hard not to get bogged down in the negative. And there's a silver lining here in some aspects, in the sense that we've taken great measure to get a new engineering firm. We looked at the new Sorley, getting Sorley on board. We also, and moving to Ruth, I mean, we're doing things to say we're trying to get experts in here, even though we lack a lot of control over the SSWC because they're a separate government entity. I think we've taken a lot of positive steps, and I know it doesn't seem like it because there's still a problem. But, I mean, we are being diligent in trying to pursue the right avenues to get the answers for the citizens and get the water quality problem fixed.
I'd like to say something. I'm Rick Hargett, I'm the new precinct.
Could you say your last name was
Rick
spelled?
Hargett, Hargett. I'm the new Democratic Precinct Committeeman for part of Chatham. And I do not live in the city of Chatham, I live 4 miles south of Chatham. I'm on well water out there, so I don't take your water. But I have had a number of people at my business, at my farm, that have complained for months about the lack of leadership, not just from the mayor, but everybody. That there's a definite problem with water here, and it needs to be taken care of. And if it's went this long, it's unreal. This woman here gets up here, you know, that's a damn shame to me, that she has to come up here, and none of you answered her what you're gonna do. You know, you didn't say anything what you're gonna do for her. Somebody needs to answer these people. That's all I gotta say.
Lee Workman, I'd like to echo the sentiments earlier about the high chlorine levels in the water. I know you guys are not in charge of it, that's South Sangamon Water, whatever it is. I currently have the equipment that I ordered as a filtration system to filter out the chlorine. I'm getting the water softener system. I have the RO system in order to get pure water back in my body, my wife's body. That I am doing because I don't see a resolution coming out of here. I don't see it coming out in 6 months, I don't see it coming out in 6 years. When the water companies or testing companies, Prairie Analytical, want you to test your water, they want you to take the bottle, wait until the first draw in the morning so there's no water coming through, it's all nice and still, and do it. I did that. Chlorine looked fine. Then I took a second bottle. I drew it for 2.5 minutes till it was nice and cold. I have a pool in my backyard. I know how to test for chlorine. 2.0 is the chlorine level, which is higher than what I run in my pool. That's coming out of your mains. That's not the idle stuff first thing in the morning. That's what we shower with. That's what we go through and drink with. This is not, EPA may say it's a minimum acceptable. I'm a professional electrician. If I put services in your house and gave you somewhere between 80 and 180 volts and 30 and 85 cycles, I guarantee you I'd burn your goddamn house down. You're about ready to kill this poor lady. Get it over with.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
The thing I don't understand, I understand and I don't understand, is that South Sangamon is its own entity. Village of Chatham is its own entity. We are customers of South Sangamon, the right to have the quality water as their customer. And as their customer, we rely on all of you to say to South Sangamon, I want it right and I want it right now. Not, we don't have another 4 or 5 years to go to get it right. We need it right, not right now, but right now. And I don't understand when you say we don't have any control over what they do. We're their customer, we do. That's like, I go to Power Works and I'm Nina's customer, but I don't have any right to say, well, I don't like this machine, you need to get another one, or, you know, well, no, you have to use this, and
Well,
I
the
don't
catch
have-
is if I bound it to your taxes, I wouldn't have to worry about my survey of what was kind of passed. So
And
that's,
Darlene, I'll say this too, I mean, I don't know how many, well, I've been on here 3 years, it's been looking for answers for things.
Oh,
It's
I
been-
know.
It's been, using a crowbar to get information. And should it be that separate? No, it shouldn't. They should be a more cohesive unit. And they should have been a long time ago. It shouldn't have been put up the barriers and not answer our questions. Not even, it just happened not too long ago that they actually acknowledged there's a water problem. That,
Right.
That there's a quality issue. So, I mean, to me, yeah, they shouldn't be as separate as they are. But, I mean, I can't force their hand to do it. We've tried, we've asked, we've brought them in here, called them to the carpet numerous times. Still, I mean, it's been taking this movement before anybody even really acknowledged anything. And now I think with Ruth's appointment that there's actually this technical expertise that we can go, okay, now at least we're gonna have open lines of communication. We're gonna be able to identify problems. We're gonna be able to hear what the solutions are. Like I said, it's unfortunate that it's been that separate. But the separate, it really exemplified itself when you asked questions and you couldn't get answers. That's when we knew how separate we really are. And yeah, they are a separate government entity, but yeah, over that course of the last 2-3 years, it's been pretty poor, yeah, and unresponsive to their customers to hit them.
Who set that up? Who established that they were a separate entity? And who established the fact that this village was on the hook for 90% of the cost of that thing? How was that set up? Did the trustees know anything about this? Was that strictly the attorney and the guys out there who was representative of them as well as this village? Did you all know how this was set up?
This was set up prior to
I didn't live here.
Yeah. And John, or Jeff can answer probably the questions as to.
Well, you know, I was, and I would say we voted on basically every aspect of this water system that we have, this South Salmon Water Commission. So, you know, we did vote on it. Unfortunately, I think I'm the only one here that was there at the time tonight, but, you know.
You did vote no correctly. So you were against it at
I was, yeah.
that time. It's amazing how you're for it now.
Well, and I'm not saying I'm for it now, but you have to look at it in two different ways, maybe multiple ways, like I have. And, you know, you look at it and say, do we throw away millions of dollars
Yeah.
and breach a contract?
Save a life.
Yeah.
And save a life, I'm sitting, you know why I sit here and hold my arms?
Or, and we're not just talking 30, 40 million, we could be talking more than that. And then go back to a system that's, you know, gonna need upgrades down the road, which is gonna raise our rates more if we go back to the city of Springfield. And we have, I can guarantee you, Darlene, it will. So we have those issues, so, you know, I don't have a crystal ball for the city of Springfield. You know, I can't say that, you know, that they're gonna get Lake 2, or if they can handle us. And what if we have water restrictions with Lake Springfield, like we did before? And they cut us off like they did before, so.
Wait.
You have to.
Stop right there.
No, let me.
That's an outright lie.
Becky,
You say they cut us off.
I'm going to ask you to sit down and let me finish.
Well, don't lie to us.
I'm not.
That's a lie.
I am not lying.
That is a lie.
It is not.
Yes, it is. They didn't just cut us off, they reduced us to what we were paying for.
No, okay,
Yes, they did.
Yes.
let me finish, then you can jump on me if you want, but, you know, I'm speaking here, I didn't do it to you when you spoke, so I ask you to sit down and be quiet till I'm done. So, you know, and to go back to the city of Springfield, you know, what's it gonna be? I mean, you know, you look at the money we've spent and the things we've done on our own and the different, you know, I'm not against Springfield. You know, if it was feasible to me, in my mind, and to different people that I've spoke to, numerous people, I would say, you know, do it. But it's not. You know, and I believe the problems that we have with our water can be fixed. I mean, again, I ask you to be quiet till I'm done.
Matt, be more.
Or go out the door until I'm done.
That's so rude.
So I'm just asking you to be quiet. I didn't speak when she was, so that's what I'm saying. And, you know, you have to say, okay, I mean.
Is this 5 minutes up?
I don't have 5 minutes.
Obviously.
But, you know, it can be fixed. We do have, I believe, a good system out there. It can be fixed. I think we are moving in the right direction with the expert that, you know, we're trying to appoint. And with the management firm that was put into place out there, you know, I haven't had the major issues people have in our community, and I'm not saying you haven't had them by any means, but I'm also saying that, you know, there's many that have approached me, and you know, it is a divided issue. Those that don't have it do have it. The issues that have gone down since we've had the management firm. You know, I've talked to people in this room that their issues have gone down since we put them in place and since we've done different chemicals and things. I believe it will get better. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I wish it would have happened yesterday, but, you know, we are working on it, and I believe we are going to get there.
A few of us have talked about doing a cost analysis with CMT when they come in. That's something we will put on the agenda and start talking with them once they get their foot wet. So that is to do a projection. I know I'm married to a man who's a number expert or a financial expert, and he is, as well, believes it needs to be an expert that comes out that is non-biased. For him to even look at it he's like, this needs to be looked at from a bond avenue all the way through financials, not just one
Right.
scope. And that's what everybody has to realize, is this is not there's no yes or no, but at the next, 3 or 4 months, they need to, with us, hold them accountable to say, hey, what's our options? And be informative of those options instead of just saying, I've talked to people, and then we need to present it to you, and they will be doing that hopefully in the future.
Lindsay, go ahead.
I just want to respond. I feel I have to say something to Matt about what you just said that really irked me. You said, I guarantee you that the sprinkle water would be less. Your guarantee means absolutely nothing to me, because you stood and guaranteed me in the grocery store down here, if you remember, we stood and talked, and I said, Matt, would you be willing, this was before you were elected and before I erroneously cast my vote for you, I asked you, would you be willing to reverse, to pull out of this and to go back to Springfield Water? And you said yes. So your guarantee, what you tell me, means nothing, nothing. The other thing you just said, boy, it's like you just, a complete turnaround, completely. You I'm just so frustrated by what you're saying, that you're sitting there thinking, we don't all, see this, you said before, I think we can make this better. Really, because just a few months back, you said, this can't get better. We are so far gone, we can't fix this, we don't have what it needs. What happened in that short time frame that all of a sudden, all of that's changed? What? I mean, give me specifics here, not, well, I have to look at everything, duh. None of that. What specifically happened that would make it all of a sudden, oh, the water plant can be saved? That's a big difference. There's got to be something concrete there for you to be making a statement like that. And secondly, you know what? Tell me.
Well, okay, on the first part that you addressed, the grocery store, I did say that. But it's not feasible. To know what we've spent.
So you went into it without, you answered that question without even looking into it then. You told me that you had been sitting looking at stuff and that you know.
I have, I've looked at stuff for, what are we, we're in the year 2016, and I've looked things over since 2006, since we first started, which, there was, I don't believe any of you were there in 2006 when we started looking into it.
And it was a bad idea, you said, but now within a period of less than a year, you decided it's a good one? 10 years, you were convinced.
What I'm saying is.
1 year, it's the best one.
What I'm saying is we have to look at everything. And we just can't say to the Water Commission, we're going to throw you away and run back to Springfield. And I don't believe that's.
So we plan another 10 years.
And I don't believe that's a great thing for our community. And like I said, I don't want it to be 10 years, and it's not going to be 10 years. I want our water to be better today, but it's not going to happen today. But with the expert that we're going to put on the Water Commission and the things that are being done out there, our water will get better, I believe. And, if you do leave, as we all know, in the water contract, our property taxes are attached to the water bonds. And, I hate to think of what that will do to our property taxes. Now, I'm not, and I was attacked on this before, that I care more about our property taxes than about our health, which isn't true at all. I do hear the health issues that we're having, those that were addressed tonight and those that have been addressed previously. And, I feel for the people that have had those issues happen to them. I have not personally, but I do feel for them. And I want to do whatever we can to make it better, make our water better, and that's where I'm at.
Matt, don't you feel that we're throwing good money after bad with this plant? We are 50 million plus in debt, and 4 years later, we still don't have drinkable water. It's ridiculous.
Well, and I hate to say, because you say we don't have drinkable water, I drink it every day.
Well, maybe you do.
My neighbors drink it every day. I know the mayor drinks it every day. I know other people throughout our community drink it every day.
This is the faucet we just replaced.
And,
would you drink the water that came out of that?
well, I hate to know what my pipes look like if, that was
I bet they look
So,
like that,
But,
replaced something.
I drink it every day. I know businesses in our community use it every day.
I drink it
Whether
every
it's,
day too, after it's been filtered.
I turn on my sink and take a drink and drink it all day, so.
And I don't even live in a bad part of town where the water's all that
And,
bad.
I believe, there are some things to address, and we're doing that. And,
We can't
I think we need to move forward.
Spend.
I think what we need to do is look forward and say, we're gonna make it better. And by the process of making our water better, we're gonna make our community better and get rid of the divide that we have now, that Bonnie addressed.
Do you have any idea how many engineering firms we've had out there working? I don't, so I'm asking a question.
I don't either, but, I know that, we do have a new management firm out there. I know, and I believe Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly will do a great job out there along with Ruth. And I believe those are important things we have going for us.
And you also have now the IEPA audit that's going on out there, so, I mean,
And you also
there's,
have Bonnie doing a lot of void, and somebody needs to explain to me what a strong man is when it came to buying that property out there too. You look up the definition of a strong man, it don't look very good. So we're looking on our end for a breach of contract or any issues out there that were illegal, because you know what? That will get us out of this water. So you guys' job could be a forensic audit. And I know it's expensive, but why you're not doing it, I have no idea. But the information, I am not a smart knife in the drawer. But I'll tell you what, you look at that information that I FOIA'd already, and I've got the watchdogs helping me go through this, watch out, because there will be something that will pop up that will be somebody's nightmare. We shouldn't have to live this way.
We're all looking, we've all got copies of stuff that we're looking for. Every one of us.
I've got a question. Earlier in the meeting, the first part of it, you said you had hired more attorneys. For what purpose?
John Meyer,
new attorneys.
New attorneys, yes. So we had the same attorney for over 20 years in our community.
And he left?
No, we hired a new attorney. And we believed that it was time to get a new attorney to help with transparency issues.
Shame on you, man.
Well, I think what you're looking at here is possible lawsuit. If anybody passes away and can be proven, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more money than what going back to Springfield. I tuck my tail in and go back to Springfield. And if you can't call the mayor's office, I sure as hell can. And I bet I can talk to him and he'd do it.
Matt, shame on you.
And you have clean water then, and safe water for the people in this community. There's no reason to have water for 4 years that is making people sick. It's absolutely nuts, it's insane. What if half the town goes down with illness? What is the legal ramifications of it? How much is it gonna cost you? And I'm not talking hypothetical here. This woman right back here, she proved to me tonight what's going on here. And there's other people like it. I've talked to them. They came to see me. I don't know if they've been here, but from what I understand,
Doesn't matter, man, listen.
well, that's what I'm saying. You could be talking about a lot of money going out in lawsuits. And there's a lot more smarter lawyers in Washington DC than sitting down here, I guarantee you.
Additional public comment?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I do know that I haven't been able to attend as many meetings as I would like to, as much as I was able to at first, and I've missed a lot of stuff, so this may have already been asked, and I feel stupid even asking it because I'm sure everyone else knows the answer. I still don't understand the whole South Sangamon Water Commission thing. I'm not getting it, we formed them or something, but whatever, so if we are their customers, who owns the South Sangamon Water Commission? Who owns it? Who is on the legal document saying the owners of the South Sangamon Water?
The South Sangamon Water Commission is created by statute. It's a creature of statute.
So it's bondholders, or who's the actual owner of that then?
It's a public entity. It's in which the different participants get to appoint commissioners. County appoints the
Third.
It's the other town.
So if they make
New
a profit,
Berlin.
New Berlin.
if they make a profit, who gets the money?
Yeah, that's my question.
It lowers the rates. There's not
There's
a.
no problem, you can't have profits, not.
So there won't be a profit ever, it go back to lower rates.
Yeah, it's not a for-profit entity. It's a public entity, just like the Village of Chatham is. Just like nobody owns the Village of Chatham.
Thank you, that's exactly what I'm trying to find out. I've never understood, what is it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Additional public comment? Neil?
Actually, I have two. Could you give
First,
me your full name, please?
Oh, Jeff Greer, sorry.
Jeff Greer?
Yep. As far as the CWLP discussion, one of the things that they did was a study 2 or 3 years ago on CWLP on their Hunter Lake was that when they look at where it's going to be built, it's going to close several wells that will be out as part of the South Sangamon Water Commission. If that happens and they shut those wells, there's going to be an additional cost that we will pay for CWLP for the redigging of the new wells. Has anybody looked into that and how that's going to affect our rate thing that we're going to have to build new wells? We're going to be paying basically for CWLP anyway because under construction is going to cause overlap with the wells that are out there now. So I provided that document, I think, prior to it, but I can do it again. But that study says that that's going to overlap with where South Sangamon is, so at least 2 or 3 wells are going to have to close. And what's the expense of that going to be? So if we're going to pay CWLP for part of Hunter Lake construction anyway, why not be there anyway? Because now we're going to have to pay South Sangamon on top of CWLP rates for the construction of that. So I think that definitely needs to be addressed because that's going to be another thing in the cost analysis of this. So the second one is, in relation to Jules' reports, is when Ruth comes on board, is it going to be at this point forward, or should we have a reasonable expectation that she's going to review the past 4 years and tell us what our health and what our risks, what's happened to our bodies potentially with the crap that's basically been fed to us that's either not in the reports, in the gaps, or in the reports that are there that are bad? I mean, who's going to do that analysis of that, or are we going to just move forward from when she starts today? Is she going to go back and review those reports and say, hey, yeah, we have some concerns that we're going to have to address, and some of these people may be sick from things that have happened out there based on our findings? Because in the reports, there are some issues that would arise if somebody was actually analyzing that was qualified, possibly, based on that. So are we going to have an expectation that she's going to review the past, or are we going to say, hey, you might have been sick in the past, you're deaf, but hey, we're going to improve it from here? What's the expectation of past review?
Well, first off, I was, Pat, you can look into Jeff's first question, right? Thank you.
I didn't hear his first question.
Okay.
How many wells is Hunter Lake 2 going to shut down?
So if you can look with that into the engineers, I'd appreciate it. And then secondly, I don't want to speak for Ruth, but I'm sure she can jump in at any time, but I know that we need to first address the current issues. That doesn't mean we need to say, hey, we're going to ignore the past. I think if red flags pull up, she will address those first and then look at past
Health
things.
concerns are current, but too, based on past events.
Right.
So if we can't, I mean, this lady may not have 3 more months. You're saying proper working utility, we have something in 4 months, and then there's some time to fix it or something. There's 8 months.
Go ahead.
Is she gonna be here in 8 months based on?
Well, ask her. She's right next to you, Jeff.
Is there health things from the past?
Go ahead.
That we need to start analyzing? So,
I'm gonna start first, just saying how I got this job. You can verify some of this. I approached Joe because I do have experience and I have some concerns because I'm hearing all this. It's in my cul-de-sac. I'm hearing it. And I said, have you been flushing? You know, what are you doing? Flushing would really help. And I said, I'd love it if sometime I could go to the filter, your filter plant. I came from the filter plant. It's not a filter plant. I could go to your plant. I would like to see how it works. So he took me to the plant with Jeff. While I was there, I said, I looked at some of this online before I got here. You have fluoride violations. What's your input on that? Oh, we have oversized pumps, we're gonna put smaller pumps in. So that might be part of the problem, definitely. But I said, to solve the problem, what test are you using for fluoride? SPAS. I said, it's an approved test. I used it in Quincy. Could not maintain the proper fluoride level with it. Even though it's an approved EPA, US EPA, I recommend, and this is a free consultation. I have no desire for this job. I'm happily retired with a disabled husband and 2 teenagers. Okay?
And she doesn't get paid
And I don't get paid
for this job. Everyone clear.
Okay? This is not my goal to be in a contentious place. I was in a
Sunflowers.
reading my books, doing my puzzle, okay? Out of concern, because I've had a career of taking care of the public, and it's hard to get that out of my system. It's been my life from my 20s on. I'm trying to think where it was. I recommended that they get a specific ion meter, and I said, I understand it. They're looking at getting that into their budget to get it. I volunteered, without this, to go out and train them how to use it. I didn't want this job. Okay, at some point Joe said, would you be interested in it? I said, I don't think so, I'm happily retired. Well, then there's this big fight in my cul-de-sac, which Jeff can.
Neighbors to both of them.
And I asked for both parties to try next to each other, did I not? Yes. And his wife was a little upset because she's the one that got jumped. Didn't deserve it, but I felt like I was being attacked. So I didn't jump poor innocent Trish. Apologized to her. Well, Trish calls the person that used to live in the cul-de-sac, I know, Laura Calderon. Laura Calderon calls Nina. Nina calls me. Tells me she spent, I don't know how long, investigating me on the phone or something. However she did. You know, she didn't just call me, she's checking up on me. Who is this person? And she says, do you want to be a commissioner? And I go, I forget what I said, but I said I might, you know. And I said, well, I want you to know that Joe asked me too. He just asked me yesterday. You're asking me today. I said, well, basically, I'm getting both sides asking me. Maybe I have a chance of helping. Because I hopefully will get at least a start of support from both sides and not go in as an enemy on either side. The other thing I said, if I go in, I have to be able to protect New Berlin too. I don't go in just for Chatham. I have to be able to protect everybody on that line. And I told Nina, like I told Joe, I may find things you don't like. I may find things you don't agree with. I'm not going to say, oh, this side's all right. Oh, this side's all right. I look at all the facts. I may say, hey, some of these points are really valid over here. We got to address those. But this point isn't valid. You know, that's what I do.
I feel like you're coming in as an enemy, because that's not what our intention.
I don't want to be your enemy.
You're not.
I told them I would like as much as possible to get in all your homes and deal with you personally.
You got like a dog.
One thing I did when we did the meeting, when I had Joe here, is one of the things I talked about was having a more informal session where we could sit down outside of this and talk as, you know, parties rather than enemies. So I think that's where it's going to start building, is where she's going to start working and figuring out what's really been going out there, what's the repercussions for the village in terms of money or whatever else. But we need to be able to talk with her, not when we're in the city and she's...
Like the Coffee with the Cops program.
I don't know about that at all.
It fosters friendship relationship.
So basically,
on that.
she's going to make sure that she's going to represent everybody and give us hopefully more facts to know what's going out there.
Some of this is probably better done in the group setting. Some of it I may have to do individually with you. If it's your individual health problem, it's probably better if you have to bring it in a meeting, fine, but it would be a lot better if it's an individual health problem, if it could be discussed without a whole audience.
Right.
Yeah, and Ruth,
And I
not
come
to,
from public health. I'm aware of HIPAA. I have been trained on it, and then I was trained on it, and then I was trained on it every year since it came into effect. I do know HIPAA. I'll keep my mouth shut where it needs to be. I'm not going to cry, but if you say something, I don't repeat personally. That's wrong.
and Ruth, not to interrupt you here, but I think that, especially after we close out the committee, the whole meeting, if you could give us some dates and possible times, and we'll try to arrange that for you.
I will. There'll be very few dates I'm not available. There are some, but I'll make myself as flexible as I can. But I mean, I hope this has helped without getting into details. My first priority is going to be your health.
I think the biggest problem that we have had here is that there was no acknowledgement up here that there was a problem. We got excuses. Well, you know, all of this stuff was in there from Springfield's water. We have our water now. So our water's cleaning out the crud that was in there from Springfield. Well, no, there's not a problem. We don't have a problem. I don't understand that. We got 1,000,001 excuses, and at the same time, people were getting sick. I've had the same intestinal thing that she's had. Fortunately, it wasn't as bad as hers. I've only had it once. It hasn't come back. But, you know, it's ruining our appliances. We have crud on everything. I did my nose and unwound it and was filling some water buckets up, and it was whitish brown phone.
Well, all I can do is I need to get into your house. You know, I can talk to all that if I can see what's going on and help you with that individual. That's what I'd like to do.
Anytime.
Okay, that's my.
They all know where I live.
That's my goal.
Yeah, that's good.
Neil, did you have some public comment?
Neil, welcome. No chickens.
Neil Young, citizen extraordinaire. Take my microphone. After listening to some of the stuff today, I would like to say I have noticed quite a change with the hiring of new attorneys, with the new engineers, some of the attitudes on the board. Things have changed very, very slowly, painfully slowly. Mr. Mayor, directly to you, we obviously have an empty seat here. I was glad to hear you say that you're open to taking in resumes and interest. You probably read my email that I
Yes.
sent you, my interest in that. I'll be happy to send it along to Pat as well. Keep in mind, if you would please, the backing that Mr. Boyle had in this town in the last election. The positions he took got him that support from the village. If this turns into another showboating of a who's who and picking somebody's cousin's, uncle's, nephew's, third former roommate, that's going to piss off a lot of people, including me. Please take this opportunity to continue the progress that we've been making and make this a fair and open seating. If you try and drag someone in here that lost a previous election or that's so-and-so's cousin or nephew or something, man, it's just going to make things worse all over again. So please, please. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Otto Fuglia.
Could you repeat that again, please?
I'll spell it for you. OTTO is a first name. The last name's FAFOGLIA.
Okay, thank you.
It's not pronounced Jones. Seriously, the elephant in the room at every meeting is the water problem. And Matt, you remember back 4 years ago, I was the guy that said, don't vote on this water, let the public vote on it. And the rest of you, I'm sure, you know who's responsible. But I read Jewel Brandt's litany of the information that she posted. There are so many missteps, and it surely proved to me that the previous administrator wasn't always honest about the problem, and that's part of the problem today, is we've not gotten the information correctly, and as a result, no one trusts always what they're hearing, and that's bad. But the other thing is that it proves to me, I think, and this, I'm going to throw this out, but this village has grown tremendously since I came here. 1,100 people to what, 12,000? And I think that the village administration needs to change. I think there needs to be a full-time mayor.
Yes.
Because this town has grown so rapidly that it needs, and I know that, I'm not disparaging Pat, because he's doing a good job. He's trying to fill in. But it's just a situation that I think is so big that it requires really hands-on, every day working at it, keeping on top of things, making people accountable. How it's done, what the ordinance is, I tried to look it up today and how it was done, and I couldn't find it. So I was going to pick Pat's brain and say, where's the ordinance about how the mayor is selected? But I do think we need a full-time mayor, honestly. It's just, we're too big. We're too big. Thank you.
Jeff, do you want to address the full-time mayor thing, Jeff?
Yeah, that would be a change in the form of government and would require a referendum approval.
Let's go for it.
So they have to get a petition together, they don't have signatures.
How many signatures?
I don't know off the top of my head.
If you check with the county, you know.
Any additional public comment?
I got, go ahead.
Just got one last comment on the water commission and the people who ran the water plant. It started out, in a personal opinion, as a one-man show. We had Dan Held out there doing his absolute best as a human being, trying to provide water for the village of Chatham. I don't know how the heck that guy survived his life, because in the morning and in the night, he was out there doing his best. Did he know what he was doing? Probably not to the proficiency that we needed. So then somebody hired a water management company to take over the water day-to-day operations and make it all just wonderful. And now we have Ruth here. It says we're screwing up the fluoride, it's way too much, and we read all these reports about wellheads blowing up, filtration systems getting way too much pressure, blowing membranes out of it. We've got manganese that's not being stored long enough. What are these professionals doing, and why do we keep throwing money at these professionals when they can't get a damn thing right? You say we can't go back to Springfield because it's financially suicide. You say we can't go back to Springfield because of a drought. I tell you, I had a mother's house that was built in 1957 in Springfield. We sold it in 2012. She lived there all that time, and I had never replaced a single inch of copper in that entire house. She went through 3 water heaters, one of them because my dad shot it when he was cleaning with a .22. Outside of that, miscellaneous valves here and there, we remodeled the kitchen, we put a nice faucet in for her, we replaced the toilet. In 2006, I put a water heater in my house. I have to replace it now because it's crap. My wife and I can't take a shower. She takes one first, I take one first, doesn't matter. At the end of it, I got cool water coming out in the spring. You know what's going to happen in the fall when it gets nice and cold out? We're going to have a one-person shower. The joints and everything are rotting. I have physical evidence of the corrosion and crap that I can't even get pressure out of my valves. And you say, no, we can't go back to Springfield. We can't continue the way we're continuing. And Ruth, I would really pray to God that you know what you're doing. Get there and rode hard, but not put away good.
My suggestion would be for the citizens of Chatham to vote on whether to keep the present water system or go back to the city of Springfield water system. Have a special vote. That would be, take care of it. And if it says go back to Springfield, go back to Springfield. You know what you got there. You don't know what you've got now. One other question I have, and I'll ask directly the mayor. I understood there's supposed to be a new Kroger store.
What?
A Kroger store?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
I thought they bought land.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, because I was told Kroger was coming into Chatham.
All I know was that they purchased some property, the ruler purchased some property in Piper
Okay, they did
Glen.
purchase some property. Where's
In
that?
Piper Glen.
Okay, is that in the city?
Or I don't know that they purchased it. That's in
Piper's in Springfield.
Springfield.
Okay, it's in the city of Springfield?
Yeah.
Because I was told that for some reason, they weren't going to be allowed to build.
That's all in Springfield.
Well, I can ask the people in Springfield, they'll tell me.
Huh?
I said, I can ask the people in
Yeah, I
Springfield.
mean, what I understand, all the people in Piper Glen were
So what do
opposed
you
to
think
having
about
a
my
ruler.
idea about having a special vote?
What?
From the citizens of Chatham about going back to the water system in Springfield, that you knew what you had, it was reliable, it was affordable.
I don't know that that's a legitimate legal
I
option.
think the
You're gonna
first
have
step-
to.
Is it a referendum again, Jeff?
It'd be what's called an advisory referendum. It wouldn't be binding by statute, but it would be something that would be an advisory referendum. It's kind of like a fancy poll. It's not, you know. But
So there'd be nothing binding the board to
right.
vote on that.
But people put advisory referendum questions on the ballot all the time.
You couldn't put a binding,
I don't think there'd be any authority for a binding question on
who
something
has
like
the
that.
authority to do it? Does the mayor?
To do what?
to have a referendum.
No, an advisory, there would be no authority to put a binding referendum on, whether it's the citizens or the board, as far as I know, but a advisory referendum could be put on by a certain number of people who petition, citizens, things like that.
But you have the power to be able to cancel this contract and go back to Springfield.
If there's, you know, that's something we've discussed and we've looked at.
If the majority of the board wanted to breach the contract.
And there would obviously be a number of ramifications and litigation and different issues associated with that, but that's certainly something that's been.
Well, I think the contract would probably be broken legally, because these people aren't getting the water that they're supposed to be getting, and they're getting charged for an exorbitant amount.
The contract requires the provision of potable water. And one of the things that the IEPA is doing now is this audit of the water plant. They're looking at all of the, you know, the operations, the water quality. They're reviewing all of those issues right now. We also have our engineers, you know, the information that we're getting, we're also working with them. We're working with the IEPA. So far, based on conversations with the IEPA, we have not seen any tests that show unsafe, you know, water and no reason to believe.
They said the water was safe in Flint.
Well, I'm just telling you what the best information we have right now is.
Are
So-
these investigators coming to people's houses?
I'm not sure what all the process would involve, but I would assume it's fairly in-depth. Pat, I don't know if you know that or not.
Some of the people in town that had complained about hair and rashes and stuff, met with them, gave kind of a deposition, answered questions back and
Yeah, so
forth.
it's supposed to be a pretty in-depth process, and that might be something Ruth knows about too, I'm not sure, but.
I sat in on just a little bit of it, just in a learning process. They interviewed some people. I didn't go around to the interviews. One was a phone interview, I heard that one. Can't even remember who it was, so don't, but, and it was confidential. It was health issues, so I don't want to go into that without information. But I know they went to various homes and had the residents collect the water. And they asked for first draw, and basically, and I don't know why they asked for first draw on micro, which is not an approved method to get a micro sample. So those all have the US EPA had, because I called, it says a representative of the commission. I was a representative of, not a commissioner, but I was put in as a representative. I'm the one that I called Jennifer Best, a microbiologist with US EPA, and said I was a little concerned about some of this. And she said it was an improper sampling method, and that the results may or may not be accurate. And, you know, recommended that, you know, somebody's concerned because some of them did show bacteria coming out of a filter, which is entirely possible because you have a carbon filter taking out the chlorine. Your distribution system, I don't care where you are, it's not giving you sterile water. You CWLP, wherever. You have a filter that's going to take 1 or 2 bacteria, depending on when that filter was last changed, could have bacteria on it. Also, because it wasn't the first draw, if you know anything about properly taking a sample, the tap is easily contaminated, depending on where it is. If it's in your bathroom and you flush the toilet, you just get coliform all over your taps. It sprays into the air unless you have the C-tap. If you're in the kitchen and you wash any fruits, meats, anything, you're not supposed to wash poultry, a lot of people still do. They've done studies where they found salmonella several feet from the sink where it's spread. So it's very easy to get a false positive sample. That's why they said it may be false positive. Where it's clean, it's clean. You can't get a false clean sample. You can't get a false positive.
Thank you, Ruth. Any other public comment? Move on for the, yes.
My name is Leslie Klein, and this is the first meeting I've been to, but we've lived in Chatham for almost 20 years, and I apologize, I haven't been to meetings before. I've read a lot of the notes on the village site, and I'm dealing with most all the issues that everyone's dealing with. I wondered if I could just say some of the things it caused such a stress level over the years of this that, I know people have probably already said these things before, but I'm just going to read them if that's okay. The smell and taste of the water, of course, makes it undrinkable. The scale that's built up on the faucets, I don't even try to clean anymore. The black stuff in the toilets that everybody has said. The green and black stuff dripping in our showers. We replaced our hot water heater after 16 years from the original one when we moved into our home that we built almost 20 years ago. Never had a problem with it. After less than 2 years, there's so much buildup in the hot water heater. We're not getting any hot water hardly, like what you said. My husband cleans out the gunk. We're back to normal again, but we know that will be gunked up again in not very long. One of the things that stresses me out so much is having to buy bottled water to drink for over 3 years. The expense is a hardship to our family. Besides paying higher water rates, the citizens of Chatham should be reimbursed for this bottled water until the situation is corrected. It does not seem fair. The water from CWLP in Springfield was totally fine. I could turn on my tap, I could fill a glass of water, I could drink it, I had no problems from this source. We need to return to CWLP immediately. I don't see how there's a choice because this could go on forever. There's no silver lining at all. You can continue trying to fix the Sangamon South water, and that could be our backup source. Of course, I'm just saying this, not knowing if that's even a possibility. But the stress of this whole ordeal is taking such a toll. It can't go on. To have to fear for my children and grandchildren to drink this water is a tragedy, and we need your help urgently. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, one more thing to that's it. One of the things I want to talk about from a legal standpoint again was Governor Snyder. I don't know if you guys heard. There's basically, he's being sued among 400 other people for the whole Flint situation on racketeering charges. One of the things is they were still mailing out bills, charging people for their water when they knew the water quality was bad. So that's one of the things that you guys need to figure out is when people knew that this water was bad and that they're still charging customers for it, and water that's detrimental to their health, that's one of the things you got to look at is when did people know that there might be.
And just to clarify, we don't, all of the tests so far don't show that it's detrimental to health.
For the last 4 years.
I'm
In October of 2012.
What'd you say?
We knew it was bad back in October.
Well, and I'm talking about my recent conversations.
Right.
I've only been here for a
I'm talking
while.
about the last 4 years.
Yeah.
All those reports, there's like a 3-month gap you reported. All those, the values that are high, when are we going to go back and look at that? I don't want to talk about now. Our health is probably affected by the last 4 years cumulative. I don't want to talk about it's better than the last 3 months. I want to know how are my kids affected by the water the last 4 years. They've been drinking it out of school. That's what I want to know is who's going to do the analysis. This lady's health is not affected by the water from the last month. She's affected from the water the last 4 years. When did they know about the water being bad? When did they notify us? When did they make it public? And have they still been sending us bills for that? Who knew about it and when is what we need to know.
And now I think there's a direct pipeline, even more so with the appointment of Ruth to the Water Commission. And so, you know.
That's again, we talked about when is she gonna know, they said we're gonna fix the water first. That could be 4 months, 6 months, we don't know. When are we gonna go back and analyze what the potential health risk can be? When people are going to specialists, people are tying it to water. They're saying the water is what's causing your bacteria. People don't have any, there's more people that are coming to the next meeting to talk about their bacterial infections, and the doctors are saying, we don't find another reason for this. You know, we're looking at the water. So there's going to be more at the next meeting. We're talking to people that are going to come forward. And so there's people are going to doctors, they're going to specialists, and they're doing studies and things. So there are people in it, and we're tying into this stuff. So it's going to be something that needs to be addressed is the last 4 years, not from December and moving forward. I don't want to hear we're only going to move forward from this point on, because we need to find out what's happened in the past and start addressing some of those risks.
Jeff, if we could establish, and I will say that, if it can be established that there's a problem, then involve, I need to involve IDPH and IDPH to investigate.
And when is that going to happen?
As soon as it can be established that there's a problem, we have.
Talk to her. Talk to her doctors. I can put you in, that's what I'm saying. We can put you in contact with that. Is what, when is that process going to happen?
But I need information that I have. I can't have a bit here. You know, I need information. Okay?
I would say, is that going to happen, that we're going to do some kind of analysis?
If
Can you
I-
look back at those reports? That's something we can see something too.
I can't guarantee I'm going to do it immediately. My first thing is I'm going to fix what's actively going on.
Right.
So
And,
it's.
and report on that.
Right.
And
Right.
Jeff, we can pose that question both to our engineers and to the IEPA as well.
Right.
But IEPA is looking at this too. They're
And are they
studying,
analyzing the last 4 years and they're gonna be able to tell you those 3 months of missing values?
that's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, we can talk to them about that.
Yeah,
should have that
we can certainly pose
information.
those questions to the IEPA.
You should be able to, on the US EPA site, look up every monitoring violation of every public water supply.
I've looked up South Simmons and it doesn't have anything. There's no violations on the EPA side,
US EPA,
the old EPA.
US EPA
So can
site.
you give us that information then so we can look up the violations and see if it correlates with some of the reports?
US EPA should have every violation the same that is had.
That's what you knowledge.
It should be there.
Are you done? Okay. Chatham's grown a lot since I bought my land, and I live at now 25 years old. Huge amount of growth. You knew this growth was coming. There's been a lot of people moved to Chatham because of the school, has a good school system, and other things. Why not build your own lake? And 5 years ago, me and my wife came up here and addressed, I don't know if everybody was here, to see about being annexed in the city of Chatham, or village of Chatham. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, yeah.
I never got an answer. And I waited and I waited. So I finally called. Somebody told me I had a snowball's chance in hell of getting it done. I'm
Well, you're not
south.
contiguous.
I'm south. It could be done if the right people talk to the people on the land. That would be where to build a lake. That would be your water source. If you continue to grow, if you want to grow as a village or a city or whatever, you need to have your own water system or go back to city water line power. You need to have your people run it. It should be built here. It should be owned by the city of Chatham and not somebody else that you're pouring all this money into. Anybody want to answer me?
We'd have the same problems that the city of Springfield is having building Hunter Lake, all the permitting.
Yeah.
It's very
It can be
difficult.
done though. Do you want to grow as a city? Do you want to have your
Well-
citizens have clean water? I'm not trying to antagonize you here, but you have a choice. Do you want to serve the citizens of this city and provide them with clean water?
We want to provide clean water, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close out public comment. I think we've gone on nearly an hour and a half here. We still have some other business to attend with the liquor licenses and the supplemental appropriation. Can I get a motion to put the consent agenda on the table?
Motion.
Got a second? Can we just do the voice vote? Yeah, all in favor? Old business, we have the customer service manual.
Mark, the customer service manual has been completed, it's been checked, been reviewed. It's ready for passage at the next board meeting.
I know we had some other
Yeah.
minor changes that were needed to be made with referencing ordinances and whatnot.
All that stuff's been taken care of. It's all been sent to Tim Pamela to review. He will write the ordinance so that it replaces the old ordinances and puts it all together in one combined ordinance.
Okay. Does anybody else have any discussion points for the customer service handbook? I know we've kind of gone over it. And maybe some minor changes throughout the way.
I think Sherry emailed you too, the thing that we're going to put in the bills, the highlights that we either don't enforce now or the new items, so that those people can be aware of instead of having to read the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we need to get it going, especially this is the moving time of the year for a lot of people, so we need to get it going.
I think it'd be safe to put up for ordinance for the next board meeting.
Okay. Did you just say there was a question? You had something about with the customer service manual? Did you just say what did you just say, Nina?
That we need to go forward with it.
Oh, I thought you had a question about the billing or something.
No.
Oh, okay, so everything's fine now, you're ready to go for the ordinance, okay.
And Jeff, would this be one ordinance itself? Moving on to new business is a supplemental appropriation. Sherry, did you want to?
The end of April, we always do our supplemental or transfer appropriation ordinance, and I went ahead and emailed everybody a copy of where we're at right now, where I'm seeing the projection, and
Do you have a hard copy?
yeah, I do have a hard
See
copy,
that?
so you guys can look at it. I wasn't sure if we would be discussing this or not tonight, so. And basically, we're recommending a supplemental appropriation of about $115,000 for the general fund. And these numbers right here are really preliminary. I'll take another look at this the closer we get to the April 26th meeting to make sure my estimates are in line where we're actually at. I think we talked about this in January, that our legal fees were more than we anticipated. We now have more attorneys, and we've had a lot of issues over the past year that needed addressing, and that's just been more cost, and that's probably the biggest thing out of the general fund budget. The street department.
What percentage went to the lawyer fees of the 80,500?
About 73,000 from the very initial budget. If you recall, in January, we transferred some money around. But basically, we were just trying to fix it, do a quick fix by shifting within the administration fund. So we ended up taking money out of salaries, which I knew we'd have to add back at the end of the year because.
So that 80,500 went to legal fees?
73,000 probably
Went
is
to-
more attributed to legal fees. The other department within the general fund is the street department had some additional payroll costs, additional building and grounds. We had a large vehicle and equipment maintenance and some tool and shop supply purchases.
Did we not budget for a village manager?
We did not budget for a...
Village manager salary?
It is in there, but we also, I'm trying to think. His salary is split between administration, electric, and water, so it's only a small, a third of his comes out of it.
30, or 35%.
And I think the actual increase that I got, adding back to salaries, is 12,000. We originally took 8,000 out of there, and that extra 4,000 is just a cushion because I'm wanting to make sure my estimates are correct. Going back to the other departments in the general fund, we're just transferring between line items. There does not need to be an additional appropriation for cemetery, parks, recreation, and police. I am recommending a supplemental appropriation for the cemetery perpetual care fund. We had some unplanned buyback of cemetery lots, and that's not something we budget for each year. It just occasionally happens. The other funds that have actual require line item transfers is the yard waste recycling refuse fund, the electric fund, and the water and sewer fund, but those are just transfers between line items, and they're summarized on the sheet you have.
If you go back and look at the admin fund, if it wasn't for the attorneys, us missing the mark on that, we essentially missed the mark by 1%. That's not a bad miss for as much as we cut last year. We tried to get the admin fund down as low as we could, and I thought we did a pretty good job of hitting and only missed it by 1%. Actually, I think all the staff did a good job of keeping everything on budget, from the water to the electric, to the sewer, admin, police. And actually, when we get all done, I think our projection is that we will be under what we had originally budgeted.
Yes.
So we're just reappropriating money inside that fund to get to that, so.
It'd still be a pretty significant surplus for everyone.
Yes.
Really, we're trying to accomplish here is not having any budget overages at the end of the year. My projection is actually coming in at our original appropriation, but there was not hardly any room at all for any error in any of those line items. And actually, it looks pretty good compared to what I've seen in past years as far as having to do transfers and supplementals.
Any additional questions for Sherry?
I don't think so, man. I'll go through a little bit more, but I haven't had a chance.
You can just let me know if you
Yeah,
have
I
any
will.
questions.
No problem.
Clark, this will be on the agenda for the board meeting as well.
Okay. Now, will it be an ordinance? Yeah.
Next up, we have the liquor license, changing the classes of current liquor license to the RG, TG, RG1, RG2. I'll open it up for discussion. Does anybody want to start?
Would you guys like for Jeff to explain
Everything.
Sure.
All right.
No, not at all. So, we've talked about this before. There's been a few changes that have been made. What we do is, the idea would be we'd create these gaming licenses. There'd be a couple of different restaurant gaming licenses and then a tavern gaming license. And in order to have video gaming, at a liquor establishment, you'd have to have this special type of license. If you don't have that, you would not be able to have video gaming on the premises. What the board here, I think, has struggled with is, what should the criteria be to get those licenses? For example, we have in here now that if you've got a restaurant license, you have to at least get 51% or more of the receipts to be derived from the sale of food and non-alcoholic beverages, so it's clearly a restaurant. We also have some alternative language that maybe we want to consider, that the gross receipts of the sale of food and non-alcoholic beverages must be more than 25% of the video gaming income. So that would be another way to kind of make sure that you're not just having a video gaming parlor, but you are actually having an establishment that is the type that's going to sell alcohol and food and be worthy of the license. Discussion had also been had on, do you want a provision that nobody would be eligible for one of these licenses until after they've been operating for a period of time, maybe 6 months, 3 months, 2 years, whatever. And then if they've been operating without incident for a certain period of time, then they'd be eligible to get that upgraded gaming license. So it's really, and it kind of is the same thing for the R1, the R2, and the tavern. So the question is really, how do you want to create the criteria? I know that Trustee Kimsey has had several conversations with me, has had several thoughts on it. He obviously couldn't be here tonight, but he liked the idea of kind of the net terminal income threshold. I know I've talked to the administrator, some people have floated the idea of maybe you make the wait a couple of years or a period of time before you get that gaming license. So there are a number of different ways you can consider doing this. It's just a matter of what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not comfortable with the percentages right now, only because I'm not saying they're too high or too low, I just don't know if they're gonna fit in to, a restaurant, a bar restaurant that has gaming. And I don't know that this, the 2 years, 2 consecutive years without issuance of any lawful fines, percentage, if that's appropriate for, really for restaurants with gaming. I see it here in all the classes, but, I mean, at this point,
Yeah, I mean, if there's a minimum, I would say 3 months if we're looking at that, just to make sure that they are doing business right. You know, that's my opinion. And also talking to people in the community, I think another thing is I've always, and I think since there was so much discussion in the past about that food served as we're giving these gaming license, and a lot of the current businesses have really accommodated to that and struggled through some times, and not encouraging them to want to shut their restaurant down to accommodate so that they make more money. We have to look at every avenue and make sure that we're encouraging restaurants and food places in town. That's my major concern. I think it's a major concern of people in the community is they understand, and I know from being in the family restaurant business for 50 years, my family has been, you don't make money off of food. So we need to make it friendly to the business person, but we also need to get friendly to our community where we're saying, okay, what's that right number? You know, what is the right number where we're making sure we're encouraging, you know, good business too?
The simplest way to do this would probably, if the concern is you want to make sure it primarily is a tavern or primarily is a restaurant, that you just put in a simple 51%, and 51% of the sale has to come from something beyond, you know, the food, the beverage, the alcohol, that type of thing, as opposed to video gaming.
And that's what it currently is now. Our restaurant criteria is 51% of your sales has to be from non-alcoholic beverages and food. Okay, that's currently the way that it's written. So every restaurant in town now follows those guidelines.
But then the concern is all the taverns coming up.
Now, the taverns, they don't have to meet a food. They
Right.
come in and ask for a tavern license.
But how do we stop someone from going from a restaurant and saying, wow, it's easier for me to be a tavern?
they have to apply for a different liquor license.
Well, yeah, I get that, but I'm saying as a business person, that's a model I'm like, jump on it. I mean,
We can always deny that too.
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm trying to say control over our community is what I'm concerned of.
But I think
Control.
if you use the R and the T and you use the zoning, I think you can take care of that. Also, by, if you're going to give out a T, if you're concerned that you're going to only create a gaming parlor is not going to be able to open if they have to have a license for 2 years of selling alcohol and they can't sell gaming. You're going to have someone that wants to open actually a tavern, that maybe they could serve food there, but they know that they can't go for an R license because 51% of their sales are not going to be food and non-alcohol. But they are going to be in business. If they can stay open for a year and a half, 2 years, then you allow them to move into the gaming license. If your guideline is that you don't want to have just the gaming parlors, by putting that year or 2 year limit on it, essentially stops it, because what do they have to offer them?
Well, yeah, I just think it puts them at a, and I'm not in favor of gaming parlors by any means, but for restaurants, I think it puts them at a totally competitive disadvantage in the 2 year time frame.
2 years is a while for a business. I will agree with that. I think there could be a time frame.
You know, and maybe you do this. Maybe the G only falls under taverns, and you don't put a G license under restaurants. So if you're open up a restaurant.
Encourage restaurants, yeah.
And they want to have gaming, but they have to meet the criteria of 51%.
Right. I think that the answer we're looking for is in the criteria, in the percentage. I'm not necessarily so convinced it's on that 2 consecutive year time frame, but I mean, I would say I'd like to table this and bring it up in the next committee, the whole meeting, and see if we can, when the other board members come back in town, if we can work out some of these criteria numbers, because I don't think we're gonna come to an answer tonight with it.
No, but it's a good first draft. It's something to work with. There's a lot of good ideas in there. You can pick and choose. You can mix and match.
Change the numbers.
Change the numbers. But all in all, I think it gives you the tool to get what you want.
Right.
You just got to come up with the right combination.
Does the The video gaming have to be associated with liquor and/or food?
Liquor, not food, liquor.
Well, because I know that the gentleman at the discount tobacco was looking to try to put a couple of machines in there.
He's there.
Oh, sorry. And I, wasn't sure if it had to be associated.
That's why he's seeking a liquor license, so he can.
Tavern license, because then you don't have that food requirement.
Well, to me, wow, let him have it just for the business he's got. Smoker's gonna go in there and gamble, that's so silly. But, hey, I know.
It's a draft.
Make ordinances, that's it.
So it's tabled till the next committee meeting?
Yes. It may. And, moving on to the proposed liquor licenses, I think it's in our best interest to finish the classifications as the gaming and liquor license ordinance before we move any further with issuing the liquor licenses.
Yeah, there's a list of the people that have requested since the last meeting.
I just don't want to rush into doing that, similar to what we've done previously, and wind up in some of the situations we've done previously. I think it's very important to get this.
We need to fix it first.
Class.
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah, we need to fix the or figure it out first. I agree.
Moving on to the.
So are 2 and 3 both
Yes.
postponed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So moving on to the 4th of July fireworks proposal.
This is the company that has supplied, Central State Fireworks has supplied fireworks to us for the last umpteen years. They've been consistent on their price at $7,000. I think the show lasts roughly 20 to 25 minutes long. If the board wishes to go into agreement, we can sign that. It would be on the 4th of July, easy.
So it would be on the Monday.
How much they did?
$7,000. It wasn't bid, this is their quote. I'm sorry.
How come the job isn't bid out?
This is the firm that they've used in the past. He just sent me this and said this is quote again this year. If the board would like.
Does fireworks count as professional services?
There's not a statutory bidding requirement on this.
Depends on who shoots them off.
My only thing is on the date. Whether you do it on the Saturday or Sunday before.
I'm sure he would if that's what you want. But if he's got other people lined up, then the price may get changed.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, they like it on 4th of July. Everybody's at home. If you can they get rid of the houses that got built and took my view away?
Maybe day old fireworks.
I'm just throwing it out there. Everybody's doing it before.
Hey, we've got plenty of time, so.
Yeah.
This you could decide at a next committee meeting if you want to.
Yeah, why don't we put it on the agenda for the next meeting, just for the other guys that are
Okay.
being participating.
Everybody's out of town the week before.
And Pat, did you have anything?
We interviewed for the open water position. We'll make a decision on that sometime later this week. Other than that, all of our full-time positions will be full. And we've lined up 4 summertime help for the parks and 2 summertime help for the water department this year. So all of our summertime jobs are full right now.
Those were on the website?
They will.
Scheduled meetings. The next regular village board meeting is April 26th, 6 p.m. here, and the committee of the whole is May 10th, 6 p.m. here. And make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna take